With me now, conservative columnist Ann Coulter and former FDA Deputy Commissioner, practicing physician, Dr. Scott Gottlieb. All right, Ann, travel ban, yes or no?
Yeah.
Why?
Because this is the United States of America. I mean, of course, people whose salaries we are paying are supposed to be protecting Americans, not protecting the citizens of the world. It enrages me that we're sending the military there. The way we help the rest of the world is by developing a cure. We didn't discover the cure to AIDS by having scientists hang out at Studio 54 to fight it at the source. No, you get the cure, you distribute the cure. You don't send over the 101st Airborne to be changing bedpans, which is all they can be doing now.
It's frightening, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And you keep saying, why is he doing this? Why are they behaving this way? It doesn't contradict the thesis that Obama hates America and wants to do everything to hurt it. It certainly does not contradict that conspiracy theory.
Travel ban, doctor?
I think it's inevitable, but to the point your first guest made, there's a lot of things we could have been doing, like front-end screening earlier, screening people before they got on planes, putting CDC workers there to do that screening. We didn't do that, and that's partly why we got ourselves in this situation.
And also the NIH is spending money on gender reassignment surgery. The CDC is investigating global warming. NASA's job is now to reach out to the Muslim world. We already had an Ebola czar. We are paying for an Ebola czar millions of dollars. Now we get this political hacker on claim whose, main claim to fame is trying to exclude military ballots in the 2000 election.
So many healthcare workers have worked with Ebola. We had Sean Kaufman from Samaritan's Purse, and, they don't contract it. And the one guy comes here, one guy. Already we got 2 nurses. Are we capable of dealing with this, doctor?
Well, I think paradoxically, we may be putting our healthcare workers at increased risk than they would face if they were treating these patients in Africa. In part because of the invasive nature of the critical care that we deliver. We do so many procedures in an ICU-type setting that we're actually going to expose our healthcare workers to more risks. So we need better protocols. Frieden specifically cited dialysis and intubation, putting a breathing tube as 2 high-risk procedures that could expose healthcare workers. But there's a lot of other things we do. Just the frequent bedding changes puts our healthcare workers at risk.
Does the CDC, and by the way, guys, they said just a few minutes ago, no guidelines are going to be released tonight. There's a shock. Actually, I want to see the first guidelines. But anyway, what authority, doctor, does the CDC have to dictate to a local hospital what they can and cannot do?
It's just advisory. They're giving guidance to those hospitals. It's really up to the hospital what kind of procedures they implement. They do have procedures, for example, the taking away of medical waste, things like that. They have to oversee that. But as far as the delivery of care, they're not in charge of that. They're just advisory.
I'd also add that anyone in Liberia or one of these countries who thinks he might possibly have Ebola is going to, more than any other immigrant to America, have a very good reason to get here. We just spent $500,000 on an immigrant who lied to get in from Liberia and then, apologized to him. His family is now suing for $500,000 worth of free care.
When he lied to get here, knowing that he had handled a woman who had Ebola
desperately
and then died.
Trying to get here, come hell or high water.
All right, so going forward, let's forget about what's happened. What can we do to protect Americans? What should the nurses do?
Well, I think the number 1 thing that we need to do is try to come up with a therapeutic or a vaccine, because if this epidemic continues in West Africa, there's actually a clinical trial that looks to get started in December with 30,000 patients in West Africa with 2 vaccines that look promising. So we could defeat this with that technology. I think we need to focus resources on that and get in place better systems here. I think we need to develop centers of excellence and transfer these patients to hospitals capable of handling these cases. We
don't know what mutation this virus may take, do we?
Well, some people believe it's already mutated. So Peter Jarling at the NIAID, National Institutes for Allergy and Infectious Diseases, thinks that the virus has changed in a way where it's burning hotter and faster. So what he means by that, or what we mean by that, is people are having higher viral loads earlier in the course of the illness. So that means you're more contagious earlier. That's just speculation right now. They're trying to run it to ground, but there is some concern that that has happened. So there's a lot of things that can happen to this virus short of it going airborne that would make it more contagious.
And, and I've been reading about the fact that the virus, it can stay alive even though, it's on a counter, on a doorknob. And yet, why do they keep saying bodily fluids as if I have to, you have to have intercourse with someone? That's what everybody thinks. So they think about AIDS.
Roll in the vomit. No, I thought it was very responsible for the President of the United States to go on TV and say that he had hugged and kissed nurses who had treated an Ebola patient. If I were a nurse at one of these hospitals, I'd quit. It's not worth it.
What do you want to say to that, doctor?
Ron Klain, by the way, was Vice President's chief of staff when he famously went on TV and told people not to fly during the swine flu outbreak. Hopefully,
he did?
Hopefully Klain will give the president better advice than he gave the vice president.
But isn't it frightening, Ann, that you've got Ron Klain, the guy has no medical, no military experience. The only thing that I could think of was that, well, if you can get Susan Rice to go on those Sunday shows,
right,
and if you've got someone that you can really be confident,
that's exactly
it's
right.
not important to resolve the issue. It's important to have your back covered.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, they keep saying we don't need a doctor in this role. We need someone with you know, administrative experience. Oh, guess what else he doesn't have? Administrative experience. But he does have experience doing whatever will help the Democrats. As I say, he tried to exclude military ballots from the 2000
Tom
election.
Frieden was a former community organizer? I broke that tonight. Did you know that? Doctor, last word. You know, for the nurses, for people out there, you know, let's not scare anybody. I mean, there is right now a certain protection that, you know, people can be confident it's not wildly spreading, correct?
Well, it's not spreading right now. The real risk is 2-3 months down the road, and I think CDC is moving towards a system where they're going to refer these patients to a handful of hospitals where they can train the staff and keep the staff smaller so that there's less exposure to nurses, doctors, others.
All right. Dr. Scott Gottlieb and Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us this evening.